Welcome to another video of the Smarter Safety series that EcoPortal is doing together in collaboration with the New Zealand Institute of Safety Management. We aim to provide these videos to you and showcase businesses in New Zealand and health and safety practitioners to show you what they do, and hopefully you can get some insights and tips and tricks out of those videos on how to bring your health and safety and well-being culture to the next level in your organization. So today I've got with me Bridget Smaill. Many of you might know Bridget because she has won the NZISM Practitioner of the Year award this year, and she currently works at BNZ as the Head of Health and Safety and Wellbeing. So welcome, Bridget. I'm really happy to have you here today.
Thank you.
So you've won that award this year, so I guess when you think about that, that's still bringing some feelings of joy and pride to you. Tell us about that feeling.
Yeah, I guess it was quite humbling. For a start, I didn't even know I was going to be nominated, so my team put the nomination forward for me, so that in itself is a lovely kind of feeling, and it's just nice to be recognised because it has been a big year of lots of work, so yeah. Definitely. So congratulations again, Bridget.
Thank you. Looking at your story, I see that you started in the South Island, you moved to Auckland, there are overseas experiences in there. Do you want to provide us with a little bit of a background to your story?
Yeah, well, I actually studied law and PE, physical education, at Otago University, and my PE degree was actually focused on sport policy. And when I left, well, I originally did those two degrees because I thought I wanted to be a sports lawyer. Thought Jerry Maguire was where I wanted to go, but changed sort of tact and started working in health promotion straight out. And when I was doing that role, I met some people in health and safety who had got us in to do some promotion within organisations, and it just kind of sparked my interest. So yes, from there I kind of had a bit of a cross path of a career and worked into road safety, both in Otago and then in London, and then started studying health and safety when I lived in London, so came back and got into that industry then. Yeah.
Very interesting. So basically from early on it was a health and safety focused career.
Yeah.
What makes you so passionate about that topic?
I think for me it's just about that you should be able to enjoy life, and so you shouldn't be getting injured or hurt at work, so that you can enjoy your full life. So yeah, it's just kind of about working with people and just making sure that they are in the best state possible, both mentally and physically.
You started at BNZ about 18 months ago.
Yep.
What was the state of the health and safety and wellbeing program back then at BNZ?
I think, it was like most organisations that had health and safety as a sort of a topic, something we did. It wasn't necessarily ingrained or embedded, so it was kind of still seen as very much a tick the box exercise. Yeah. Very heavily relied on a couple of people to drive things. And in my kind of opinion, just wasn't kind of focusing on the right things to help with that, embedding it. Yeah. So yeah.
I guess a lot of the people watching this video can probably relate to that health and safety is present because you have to do it and you probably also want to do it right. But it is hard to really make it a part of the day-to-day strategies, activities, routines for people, for management, for staff, and for everybody. So what did you do to particularly engage the senior level management? Because I assume you need their buy-in to change whatever you want to change.
Yeah, I think you actually need everyone's buy-in. Yeah. But for senior leaders in particular, one of the first activities I did was actually set a position statement with them. So they were part of kind of identifying what we wanted health and safety to be in the bank, because you can be just compliant and that's fine, but you can do a lot more. Yeah. And with a lot more comes a lot more programs and a lot more kind of resources. So we had to really define that up front. Yep. So yeah, that was in the first kind of month to get that in place. And then for me...
was that, just to interrupt you there quickly, was that done as like a workshop or...
Yeah. And it was actually really good because I wasn't in the room, I was actually away for work. And so I was just on the phone, which meant it had to be driven internally. So it wasn't me doing all the speaking, it was the executive leading those conversations, talking amongst themselves, and actually defining what they wanted it to be as a team and coming up with just one statement. So a lot of businesses have like risk appetite statements, but for us, we didn't want one of those because for health and safety, that's quite often zero. You want 0 people hurt. And so then it just gives you, it's really hard to achieve. So by having a position statement, it was just what we're striving for.
I guess the fact that you weren't in the room with them also meant that they had to drive it. They were the ones coming up with the ideas. So they owned the ideas instead of you being in front of them and saying we should do X, Y, Z, and they nodding. I think if you come up with it, if you write it down yourself, if you have suggested it, then there's a lot more ownership, I assume.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that's a really great way of engaging senior management, and obviously then also getting the resources, I assume, that are required to put in place whatever you agree to put in place.
Yeah.
How big is your health and safety team? Because I assume a lot of the people watching this, they might feel a little bit lonely at times, or they have a few people helping them ad hoc, or maybe they also have a bigger project group helping them with health and safety and well-being. What is that like at BNZ?
So we are very lucky. We one of the other things I had to do at the start was write, a business case to get the resources we required. So we are a team of 7 of us. We have 2 people specialising in the wellbeing space, 2 business partners in health and safety, and then one person focused on just projects and continuous improvement. And then we also look after our whole fleet. So we have someone who's part doing that and part running our data and analytics.
Wow, that's a big team for health and safety and well-being. That's very nice. But on the other side, BNZ is obviously a large organisation. You have over 5,000 staff members, around 150 branches across the country. I mean, it's not a job that one single person can just do.
No, and we knew that we wanted to shake things up and do things a bit different. So that came with, being able to do work and put focus on it. So that's where we ended up.
I just mentioned 5,000 staff across the country. New Zealand is a big country in terms of the geographical spread. How do you engage 5,000 staff? How do you tell them this is what we're doing? Please be on board.
It is a difficult thing, and I'm not sure if it's something we've got 100% nailed, but we use our health and safety reps a lot. So we see them as having a critical job to spread the messages. So every month we're emailing them out, key topics to talk to their teams about.
What would be an example of those topics?
Well, it just depends on what we're working on. So we always start every one of those emails with some high five moments, so things that have gone well for the month or things that have been achieved. We're also really clear on what we're working on. So as our team, what we're trying to achieve for the rest of the business, so that they have that transparency. And then we give them a health and safety topic and a wellbeing topic every month, and some key takeouts to talk to their teams about. And then we're always asking for volunteers to be involved in reviewing whatever we're doing. So we use that.
I think it's a great idea to have you as the core project group, but also being able to share whatever you do with the rest of the country, basically immediately, like monthly is a pretty quick update for all of them on what you're doing, and giving them the chance to be involved, because that way they don't feel like you're pushing decisions onto them or topics. So they would, I assume, have the chance to suggest topics as well?
We're always asking for feedback. And the other forum we use is we have like an intranet site where we have kind of groups set up. So we have one for health, safety and wellbeing that we have everyone in the bank part of. So we're constantly just putting out messages about different things. A lot of those are non-work related. It's just something that people might be interested in life. And then we have one just for our reps, where again, we're just asking for feedback, putting up things, just getting them to comment on it. So kind of getting real-time feedback on things as much as we can. Asking for feedback is brave, because you get the positive and the negative, and it is obviously brave to want to hear what's not going well. It's so important, but it's also brave because you got to face these things and then take actions to avoid them, to change them, to turn them into positives. Yeah, but I think we're kind of quite clear that we are not the main audience for a lot of these things. We sit in head office, and we're not exposed to a lot of the risk that we're actually trying to manage. So we need that feedback, and definitely. If we don't get it, then there's the risk that we're not doing it right. So we ask and then ask again, and then if we don't get the feedback that we want, we just tap people on the shoulder and really kind of get their involvement. Just looking at the banking or retail industry, do you think health and safety in that particular industry has some specific characteristics that other organisations or other industries wouldn't face? I don't really think so. Obviously, robbery is a risk that banks have, but then a lot of other industries as well, like petrol stations, dairies, they're all facing that same sort of risk. And it's just around about people. So we have the same risks like driving for work, lone working, mental ill health, contractor management, and robbery. They're our big 5 that we focus on, and people will be familiar with those in their own industries. They're not sort of unique to banking.
Yeah. You mentioned mental health. Mental health is often a topic that's hard to talk about. People might feel embarrassed. People aren't used to being asked about their mental health. What do you do to normalize that topic, to make it easy for them to share what they think about it, to share feelings or problems that then help you to improve their mental health?
Yeah, so mental ill health is one of our top risks, and for all of our risks, we do bow tie analysis. So that helped really identify kind of what our key drivers and controls need to be. And from that, we realised that we needed to do some training to normalise, like you said, the language and things we're using. So last financial year for us, we trained all our people leaders. So that's the first thing we've done. So we did an in-house 2.5-hour training, which was about what mental ill health actually is and how to have a conversation. So it is often the people leader that will need to be bringing this up, and not expecting someone to come up and say, I'm suffering from X, Y, and Z. So it's about creating that environment, and I think that's just steps you have to take, and just don't expect you can do one training and it's going to be an environment where people feel that they can bring that up. So doing the training was crucial for us, and we had really, really positive feedback about that. Straight off the bat, we realised that we needed to have more processes in place. So we've used software like EcoPortal to have the ability to report confidentially. So for individuals to report, even if they don't want to raise it with their people leader, then come to our team. And also now we've just put in the place for people leaders to come to us and have that recorded for us, that we can then get in touch with that individual and give them more support.
How did the reporting change that culture around mental health? So now that someone can report it and doesn't feel like they're putting themselves in the limelight about it, or it's embarrassing to talk to your people leader about it, have you noticed that reporting has gone up because of that opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, reporting of that particular thing has definitely gone up because we didn't have that ability before. And I think it just shows people that health and safety is, again, more than just a tick the box exercise. It's something that they might not have thought is really relevant to them in their own role, but being able to kind of come to our team and talk it through has given them confidence that we're actually here to help.
So obviously, in opening up that opportunity to report it, you then had to put processes and actions in place to also help, because now you are aware of the problem, and now you need to help your staff members to feel better, to improve their health.
So we started rolling out the training. It was pretty clear that we need processes straight away, because otherwise it was all kind of coming to an individual person. So someone in my team ran all the training. So we put up shared inboxes. We, as I said, developed those processes for people to report through to, so that we could be tracking it, getting the prioritising what was required for those individuals. I think once you start talking about it, a lot comes out of the woodwork. And then it's about keeping that alive as well. So, this year we'll be focused on more peer-to-peer training. Last year it was about people leader training, really encouraging people to report things through to us, and always, again, looking at a process to make sure that they are fit for purpose and actually supporting people.
Absolutely. Did you get any pushback on that topic? Any? Again, it's a large organisation. You tell them we are rolling out the training in this area. It's not common practice in all organisations in New Zealand, so it's relatively new. Did anyone say, I'm not comfortable with that, I am not sure if I can do that, I'm not sure if I can lead my team in that area?
No, we had the opposite. We had a lot more people who wanted to come along to the training who weren't actually people leaders. So but the training isn't about leading it. I guess it's about giving the people leader skills straight up about if someone does raise something to them about what to do, so that they feel confident. That was just step one, and then as we go and talk more to individuals or promote that you can kind of raise these things in the organisation, there'll be more about leading it. But the reps are also there, our health and safety reps, to kind of promote topics and things like that. So we did some training sessions for a majority of the reps as well, so that they know,
With those training sessions, did you do them face-to-face, or did you get all of them to come to one city and be in the same room for the training, or how did you run those?
We did a mixture, so we started with kind of key businesses. If they were getting together, we would just go and meet with them and present there. And we did a lot in Auckland and Wellington, in Christchurch. But then as the catch-up kind of sessions and it got to the end, we did a lot via Skype.
Okay.
And that actually also worked really well for people, because the training we developed was simple in terms of the key messages we were giving. We didn't have workbooks, we didn't have any of that. It was about listen, ask questions, and at the end we will send you a couple of handouts, we'll send you the key links you require. So we just kept it simple, which meant it could be kind of sustainable in that space and go over Skype. And then this year we'll be running it at least quarterly to catch up on any new people leaders that join the bank.
Technology is a big thing these days, and in order to roll out programs, changes, strategies and so on, you need resources. So you talk a lot about the human resources and the skills that the different teams have, that the reps have, the trainings and so on. But technology, I assume, and you mentioned that as well, is another big resource to roll something out. What technologies do you use to have a really well embedded health, safety and wellbeing program?
We use EcoPortal, and we've used EcoPortal for the last year, and that was around having a platform that we could use for more things than just reporting. So that's been really successful, because I think it's about driving people to the one spot. Everyone is really busy in their day, and so we've got to be mindful of that and make sure we're just making it simple, so they know. We call EcoPortal in BNZ My Safety, so they know that that's where they go. We also have a Wellbeing platform that we use, and that's called My Wellbeing. And then recently we've just changed EAP providers and made sure that they had technology as well, and that's called My EAP Coach. So everyone kind of knows that that's where they go, and it's about them, and they can find the information that they need. So
comes back to terminology, what you mentioned early on in our conversation, to make it easy for them to understand, and they can remember it, they know where to go, what to do, which program is for what issue.
So just making sure that all those key links, and the links that they use for their job as well, and it's just part of that, so they can just scroll down the list and see it and click through.
Yeah, perfect. What factors did you consider when choosing the different softwares?
Ability to, as I said, have more than just reporting there. So we use EcoPortal for our minutes, so our committee minutes. We're about to roll out all our contractor management things through it. We have those confidential reports, our PPE registers through it. So again, it's just driving people to one place so it's simple to them. And also the ability to adapt the language. It should just be easy for people to understand what they need to do and where to go. So that's been really key for us.
Yeah, I can imagine that. There are still a lot of organizations out there that use spreadsheet systems. What would you say to them that they might be missing out on by not using technology?
I think it's just the ability to have kind of real-time data. So if you have spreadsheets in every single site, then how, from a health and safety practitioner, do you actually really know what's going on? So there's a lot of kind of benefit in that, and being able to kind of analyse data at the end of the year or the quarter and look at what's really going on. It just gives you that ability for real-time information. And people's workplaces are changing, they're not one place now. So I think it's about appreciating that people should have the ability to report and do what they need to do for wherever their workplace is.
What future technologies do you think will be helpful in that area?
I think it's more around predicting kind of what's going to happen if we ever can do that. I think using data to give you insights on what's happened before and how you can kind of predict that forward. It's something we're trying to pull together at the bank, sort of all our kind of data sources into one view to see if we can kind of really get a good view of what's going on, because reporting is only just one aspect, of course. So we're trying to pull our EAP stats and our sick leave and our driving related data into kind of a dashboard to kind of give us a good insight into that business.
Mental health and well-being is not part of every company's culture. You've mentioned some of the strategies in terms of doing the training and making people comfortable with the topic. Do you have the feeling that there are some barriers still that you need to overcome, or do you think you are in a pretty good place where most branches, most staff are comfortable sharing and reporting?
No, I think, I don't think it will ever kind of be ticked off as a risk. I think, there's a lot we still need to do. Making sure we're having quality conversations regularly between, a people leader and an employee. And that's something that our team can't drive alone. So we work across the bank to try and see what we can do in that space. And society's changing. So this risk will always change as well. So
And that knowledge is already represented in the fact that your team has, I think you mentioned, a person that's responsible for continuous improvement in that area. You have 2 people on your team focusing on mental health. So that's, I would say, quite proactive in New Zealand. And I think that's already represented in your role title as well. Many people watching this video, I assume, have a role title related to health and safety. Having the well-being aspect in the role title is a big step, a very positive step.
Yeah, that's great. Excuse me. And at the moment we're surveying all our staff on wellbeing. So we're in the midst of our Wellbeing 360 survey, which gives us really great insights back. So for an individual, it gives them a really key report around things that they could be working on. And then for us as an organisation, we can then really focus on more things that we could be doing.
You mentioned data quite a bit in our conversation. How do you use data to drive health and safety and well-being at BNZ? What kind of data are you referring to?
Well, I think it's really, really important to kind of have kind of lead and lag indicators against all your risks. So obviously that's all data driven. So every month when I talk to the executive, they've got a big dashboard and looking at our trends on those risks.
Absolutely. Well, that's right. And you're probably able to get a lot of data through the platforms that you have established that people seem to be using, that people seem to be comfortable with as well. In general, I often have the impression that in New Zealand, we are sometimes a bit scared of data. There are other countries that love reporting to the point where things are reported daily and weekly and looked at and compared to quite a lot, whereas other organizations think they have a good gut feel of what's going on, but I think data really then helps to drive decisions, to make changes, to take it back to other meetings that you have potentially with the senior management again and say, look, this is what the data is giving us. We need to do X, Y, Z.
Exactly. We do still get a lot of, conversation, insights, and that's really, really important. But having things reported and having it kind of factual really does give you facts to kind of have conversations about. At a higher level, at an individual level, insights and conversations still very, very important.
Yeah, absolutely. For the bright and young minds amongst the people watching this that want to pursue a career in health and safety, what would you recommend to them? What skills do they need? What should they be prepared for?
I think for me, one of the most important skills is actually people skills. Being able to have conversations, being able to relate, listen to people, and reflect. It's an industry that will continue to change and evolve and grow. So I think if you have a passion for working with people and are interested in, changing kind of environments, and it's a great industry to get amongst.
And you mentioned it's always changing, so you have to be on your toes and probably make sure you know what's going on, go to the relevant conferences, networking events, and have knowledge in that space to be at the forefront of things.
And just, I guess, the ability to identify when things aren't going so well within yourself and your organisation, and then kind of adapt from there. I think that's really, really important, and try and share as much as you can as well with others and learn from others.
What are you excited about the most that could happen at BNZ in your area in the next 12 months?
I think I'm just really excited. This last financial year for us has really been focused on fundamentals and putting in place the basic kind of processes. So this year it's around that next step of maturity, which is using more insights that we've gained to really focus on key risks and some sort of controls in those spaces, doing more in the wellbeing space, like identifying key toolboxes that people can take and adapt within their teams, and just seeing kind of things through. You know, we've started a lot, we've changed a lot of our suppliers, so just kind of building those good relationships.
Yeah. It's been really insightful talking to you, Bridget, and I honestly appreciate that you took the time
Thanks for having
to
me.
meet us here today. That conversation has shown what a passionate person you are in the health and safety area, what a great practitioner you are, and that you are able to use your passion to actually spark other people, organizations, branches in doing something similar, and also not just dealing with the status quo, but trying to change things, move forward, continuously improve. And that's actually what we need in this country, but also worldwide. I'm honestly really delighted to have had the chance to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.